Today is April the 22nd. It's Monday. The McClellan oscillator on Thursday, therefore Friday, finished right here. So it was probably going to be headed down to test the median low, where it's done back here, here, and here. It didn't here, and it didn't here. So chances are it is, and if you look at FinViz, the decliners led the advances today by 56% to 39%. So let's take a look at the charts. Let's still look at our weekly charts. Let's start with the S&P 500. Remember that we were looking at the Ichimoku span, which has, this is its area right here. It has room to drop down to the 50 simple moving average before it finds resistance. Last week we had this doji week. Let's look at the 1 hour. Remember that we had this channel that we were looking at, and that channel continues to be valid today. So let's take the highs and lows of the channel. Let's take the closing of the candles as our highs and lows. And let's bring this one up to right here would be a closing. Let's straighten them out. Take the middle one. And so that is the closing high here, and the closing low would be right here where we've hit it 1, 2, 3 times where a 1 hour candle closed in this area. Remember that we still got a gap that has not been filled, and that gap would take us down to 28.88. So this is a big week for earnings. Let's get rid of this range here. This is a big week for earnings. Among the stocks that we're following, Caterpillar will have earnings Wednesday morning. So there's a good likelihood that the stock that I'm holding, I'm going to sell weekly 141 or 140 calls. Now we closed today at 142.60, so that was a little bit higher than I saw during the day. So pick 142, 141, or 140 calls, depending on if I see more weakness in the stock tomorrow, which would be an indicator that maybe people smarter than me are expecting not the greatest earnings. So Caterpillar have exceeded their earnings for, I'm going to show you on tip ranks right now. So let's go and let's look at tip ranks. Love this site. And I've got a full subscription to it, so there's a lot of stuff that I can see that you can't see if you're just getting the free version. But if we look back at Q1 2018, they blew out analysts' expectations, followed by another beat, followed by a slight beat, followed by a loss. Now, there's nothing good news about Caterpillar regarding China because of the tariffs. It's also affected by the global economy that's being hurt by tariffs, so that's hurting Europe's ability to buy capital equipment. We've also seen no infrastructure bill in the United States, so there's no reason to think that Caterpillar's sales are going to be anything to talk about in the United States. Let's look at what the analysts are saying. They're expecting this quarter to be much higher than what they expected for a year ago's quarter, but in line with earnings a year ago. And I just don't believe that that's going to happen. So right now, the volatility for Caterpillar is 55%. It's going to move up tomorrow as we get closer to earnings. So we're probably going to hit 60% implied volatility. The expected move today for earnings on Tuesday is about $7.30, and that's by adding what you can buy a put for and sell a call for. So that's plus or minus $7. That is a 5% move. So I'm going to do something, and I'll tweet that out what I do, but it'll be around 2 o'clock, 2:30 tomorrow afternoon when I make that decision. But I will definitely be selling calls, but I won't be selling my stock. Let's go back to, let's stick with tip ranks. Tip ranks introduced something new, which is a smart score, and they give Caterpillar a 10 as a smart score stock because it's a moderate buy for the analysts with a price target of 149.82, which is right at the Gartley closing value. The bloggers are bullish on it. The hedge funds increased the amount of shares that they were buying in the last quarter. There's no insider trading activity that is indicative of anything. Insiders are buying and selling, but not to the point of being informative for us guys. People on tip ranks who own Caterpillar seem to be very positive. The news has been bullish. The technicals are positive, although there's a bit of a momentum loss, and the fundamentals are positive. So that's why they gave it a score of 10. But let's look at the analyst ratings. And I only look at analysts with a score of 3 or higher. In fact, I really only want to look at analysts with a score of 4 stars or higher. And we've got Credit Suisse, who 10 days ago listed it as a buy. Citigroup, 3 weeks ago, as a buy. Ivan Feinseth at Tigris Financial is a 5-star analyst. He didn't give it a price target, but last month he gave it a buy. If we wanted to read these different articles, we could do that here. 10 analysts give it a buy, 7 give it a hold, 2 give it a sell. But those 2 who give it a sell are not 4 or 5-star analysts. And I'm going to stick with that. I like tip ranks very much. So let's go and look at Apple. Before we move away from Caterpillar. We said that Caterpillar would move into the cloud this week. It had nowhere else to go, and it did, and it's hanging right around the flat part of the cloud. Tomorrow is going to be important. Do we finish below the flat part of the cloud, or do we finish above? So we're going to be somewhere in here because this is a weekly cloud, so we're not moving to the right. We're just going to move up and down in this area for the week. Our target is still 149.52 for the Gartley, and remember, that was the average analyst score for on tip ranks. Apple had a good day, up 60 cents. Continues to move up on a weekly basis. We continue to move up towards the top of the cloud, but we are being restrained at this 68.1% move from here low to the high, getting back to its high of 233.47. We're stopped by this 68%, and that's called the golden ratio in Fibonacci speak, and it's very important. Gold finished down 36 cents. Intel had a sell rating from a very good 5-star analyst, but that didn't hurt it. It closed up, but is still, it closed it at a higher close than it's ever had before. So that's very good, but we still have this gap that I'm worried about filling if there's any bad news in the market. WDC is affected by the tariffs, as we saw. Remember, in the daily chart, we had the Chiku span hit the 200, which is always tough resistance, and it bounced off. And that was, when did that happen? That happened on Thursday. So that's all for today. I'm still not excited about the market. reading that BlackRock is very negative on the market right now and thinks that it's a good time to sell. You might want to take a look at that.